kids are young, your body metabolize things so efficiently. Maybe you don't directly feel the effects of food, but eventually you have to make some changes. And your coach reached out to me because so many of you wanted to make some changes, which I think is awesome. It does come down to food. 80% of the time you have to make really solid food choices, so that 20% of the time you can eat things that maybe don't serve your purpose so well. You guys are young, you're in high school, I understand that's going to happen, but if your goal is to perform and to get better and to get stronger and to lean out, whatever your goal is, and I know it's different for a lot of you just looking at the crowd, it comes down to food and making really great choices. And it's something that your entire family can do together. It's not, you don't have to eat differently than the rest of your family. So by you maybe making some changes that maybe your parents have already harped on you a little bit about, maybe hearing it from someone else will help. But it should be the way the whole family eats. This isn't a diet. This isn't something you go on and go off. It's a lifestyle. It's something that you do from now until you're 102, hopefully. And it's not anything that should be confusing. It shouldn't be challenging. It might be a little challenging for some, but it shouldn't be something that's overwhelming. The problem is that there's so much information out there. Oftentimes we don't know where to start. And we think, oh, my buddy lost weight, and he's following a ketogenic diet, eating all fat. Well, that sounds great because I can eat bacon and all this, maybe not so great stuff that sounds appealing because it's not real healthy, but that's a diet. Same thing with a lot of the other plans that are out there. So like I said, this is something that you need to embrace now. You're going to feel better, you're going to perform better, your studies are going to be better, your sleep is going to be better, and beyond nutrition being a huge part of what you do, sleep is probably an even bigger part. We spend a great deal of time with the professional level athletes on sleep, because if you're not resting and you're not resting your body to the point of healing and recovering, resting your brain, you are never going to perform no matter what you eat and how hard you work out. You've got to rest your body. And I know at your age you guys are sleep deprived. You train all the afternoon, or you play your sport, whatever it might be. You've got homework to do. You're up late by nature of being a teenager. You're up early because school starts so early. So you've got to schedule that sleep time in there. It's all part of a performance plan, which I think your coaches are working really hard with you guys to do. You're in the gym. You're in the off season lifting weights. You're going to start eating a little bit better, hopefully. You've got to schedule your sleep. You've got to schedule your homework, your social time, all of this. You've got to manage all of these different things into what I call a performance plan. And it's something that you plan day to day. Food is something you've got to plan. It can't be a last minute thing, because if it is, you end up in a gas station, you end up with fast food. It's all part of planning out your day. And if that means writing it down or whatever you guys do as a team, then it's really helpful to do that. But what I've done is I break this down into 3 really simple, hopefully simple points, and then I just hit on a few things in between. But those of you who haven't heard me before, the first thing is hydration. Hydration is super important. And by hydration, what are we talking about? What fluid? Water. I just went to this conference, a 4-day conference for the MLB, and I would say half of the conference was about hydration and how important it is. You guys are going to get started in the heat, so you've got to sort of climatize your body to being used to dealing with the heat, and you've also got to get your body used to accepting hydration, used to being hydrated, so that when you do hit that time and you're in the heat and you're sweating a ton and you have all of your gear on, you don't run into the adverse effects because your body is already acclimated to being hydrated. And that also means some electrolytes, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But as a baseline, how much water do you need a day? How many ounces? Go ahead. Maybe not someone your size, but some people do. It actually is in ounces, which are a little different than gallons. Go ahead.
128.
128. So for you, maybe it's half your body weight. Is that what you're gonna say? Probably, yeah. I cut you off. Sorry. So it's half your body weight in ounces. So what you want to do is take your body weight that you're at, cut it in half. That's how many ounces you want on a minimum of water a day. So if you're sweating a lot, if you're training, if you are just someone who sweats a lot, you need to account for that, and you need to add more fluid in. For every pound of water that you lose during your practice or whatever it might be, how many ounces of water do you need to replenish with? Does anyone have a guess? 16 ounces. So that's 1 water bottle, similar to what we have up here. Just hold that one up, if you don't mind. So for every pound you lose, you've got to replenish with that. I just learned this past week that a 300-pound linebacker can lose over 19 to 20 pounds during a game or during a practice session. That's a lot of weight to lose in fluid, right? That's a big guy. So someone like that, how can you lose that much weight in water and not feel like crap after you lose that? And what happens if you don't replenish that? And these are guys that have the luxury of being weighed in and weighed out. You guys probably don't have that option, so you've got to go a little bit more off how you feel. And of course, keeping track of your weight is probably a good idea too. But I understand you can't always have a scale there to weigh you in before practice and weigh you out. But you got to keep that in mind. If you're sweating a lot, you've got to replenish that. And every pound is 16 ounces of water. So one of the best things that you can do is start your day out with water. Oftentimes we don't do that. We get behind. You show up at practice and maybe you haven't had any, or you've had a minimal amount of water. It's even important for us as adults that just maybe aren't under the same stresses that they are physically. We have to hydrate just as much throughout the day. So that same amount of ounces of water applies for all of us, not just for an athlete. So in the morning when you get up, you're already dehydrated because you've been breathing, especially if you're a mouth breather. You're even more dehydrated. So the first thing you want to do is start out with 16 ounces of water. So 1 bottle of water first thing out of bed. Even if you don't eat right away, you've got to start hydrating. And then that sort of carries on throughout the day. If your coach is carrying around a gallon jug of water, that's a great idea if you can do that. I typically carry around one of these and I make sure I drink at least 2 of them a day, because that's going to get me at least half my body weight and maybe some more for the sweating that I do when I train or work out. So you've got to find something that's at least half of what you need and make sure you're drinking 2 of them. Carry it with you throughout the day, but water is what you need. So some of you are probably salty sweaters, meaning that you sweat out a lot of the salt and electrolytes that are in your body. If you're a baseball player, it's so easy to tell because you wear a hat and you can see the salt ring around your hat. You guys don't have that luxury all the time, but I'm sure you can taste your sweat and you know if it's salty. And if it's salty, we've got to think about electrolyte replacement. So where can we get that besides Gatorade? Good call, good call. I like it. Powerade's one. What else?
Maybe like protein.
So some proteins will have salt in them, but we got to get some salt in us. So Gatorade is one way. Powerade is one way. Do we need to drink these things all day long? Because what's in those 2 drinks that we don't necessarily want? Sugar and a lot of dyes and preservatives, that kind of stuff. So we do need something. Gatorade's one option, yes. Milk has not a whole lot of salt. And sometimes milk and dairy products are hard on your stomach when you train. Milk's important, and we're going to talk about where it fits, but maybe not necessarily while you're working out. So while you're training, if you're training beyond an hour, if you're sweating a lot, we need electrolytes. So that's the time to think about maybe having some Gatorade. You can dilute it with some water, so you're not getting as much of the sugar. You can use G2. Has anyone tried G2? Yep, so G2 has half the amount of sugar, still has the same amount of electrolytes. The other product that I like is called Noon tablets. Has anybody seen those? Parents, have you seen them? They're in a tube. They're just these little tablets that are flavored. You just toss them in your water bottle. So if you have a jug, you can toss 1 or 2 of those in there. And they taste a little bit salty, but they're flavored. But that's a quick and easy way to get some electrolytes on board. That's what I use as a firefighter. That's what we use, a similar product at the ball field with the guys. But we're always thinking about when they're out in that heat for an extended period of time, we've got to get electrolytes on board as well. Because when those get out of whack, what can happen? If you get depleted in electrolytes, you can actually run into cardiac issues. So it's something we want to take very serious, and we want to make sure that we stay on top of and not get behind. Once you're behind in your hydration, it's really hard to catch up. If you show up at practice and you think, oh, I'll just down a couple bottles of water and I'll be fine, how's all that water feel in your guts when you're out there running around? Horrible. So we've got to get our bodies acclimated and used to it, just like your coaches do with heat acclimatization. I'm assuming you guys do that too, right? So same deal with the sodium, with the electrolytes, and with water. Do other beverages count as part of your fluid intake or your water intake? Like pop? Hopefully we're low on the pop consumption anyways, but Gatorade would still count, your Powerade would still count, your G2 would still count. What about juice? Would juice count?
1%.
What's that?
1%. Like Sunny D is not good for you.
Yeah, Sunny D would not count, but some all-natural juice would count. And the other thing is sugar isn't always a horrible bad thing. You guys are plowing through a ton of calories when you're training. You're plowing through a lot of sugar, and you've got to have sugar on board to burn through, because that's what we use as energy. So having some juice before practice, maybe not right before, because that might be hard on your stomach, but having juice isn't always a horrible thing. The problem is we tend to over-consume in juice. Juice has a ton of calories, so we don't want to waste all of the calories that we have to consume that provide energy in drinks. We want to save that for food, and we'll talk about high-quality food that we want to consume. So hydration is the #1 thing, super important. How much do we need?
Half your body weight.
Half your body weight in ounces. Who in here thinks they're getting that every day? Some of you are? That's great. So some people just naturally drink a lot more water. Some of it has to do with how we're raised. The other thing to keep in mind is during the winter, maybe we're not as thirsty. You still got to get that same amount, same volume of water into your system. All right, now they're doing all these studies with sweat tests. At the professional level, they're putting things on them. Some of you might have a watch that tells you how hydrated you are. Basically, what I figured out from all the studies that I sat through this weekend is that those things don't work. You've got to work off your own system. They're not real accurate. So let's just assume we're losing salt. Let's assume we need a lot of water and just tackle it that way rather than worrying about technology to take care of it for us, because they haven't figured out a good way to do that yet. So if you're using that as a way of tracking, that one is not the best one to do. All right, so the number 2 thing that we have got to think about is eating more fruits and vegetables. And the reason for this is because we tend not to, especially in your age bracket, not get enough fruits and vegetables. Sometimes we get so focused on maybe eating enough protein, maybe eating too much sugar, maybe eating too much fat, whatever our macronutrients, which are protein, carbohydrates, and fat, we get really focused on those things. We need to think more about the micronutrients, which are your vitamins and minerals. What do vitamins and minerals do for our bodies? Crickets. What do? They keep your immune system up, so they keep you from getting sick. They help you recover. They help you as you get older. I know you're not worried about it right now, but as you get older, there's a lot of diseases to worry about. You're setting the foundation for not getting those diseases right now. So fruits and vegetables are really important. You don't have to take a multiple vitamin and count on that to give you everything you need. But you need to eat a variety of fruits and vegetables throughout the day. Sometimes we go through our day, and if you think back, which is why it's cool that some of you are tracking your food in MyFitnessPal or whatever app you're using, because you might get to the end of the day and notice maybe you've only had one piece of fruit, or maybe you haven't had any vegetables, whatever it might be. How many different fruits and vegetables do we need a day? Some of you have heard it before. Not servings, just different fruits and vegetables throughout the day. Any guesses?
3.
No, a little bit low, but thank you for guessing, yes. Five servings, but we want 8, oh, go ahead, sorry. 8? Of course. 8 to 10 different fruits and vegetables a day. That's a lot of different fruits and vegetables, but that's gonna ensure we want variety. So if you're meal prepping and you're cooking chicken, broccoli, and rice for every meal, are you getting your 8 to 10 fruits and vegetables a day? No, I think it's great that you're meal prepping. I think it's great that you're maybe cooking broccoli, but you still need that variety. And when I'm talking variety, we want a lot of different colors. Each different color contributes a different vitamin that our body needs or a different mineral that our body needs. But those nutrients are really important for not only performance, but for recovery. You guys do the same things every day, right? You work out hard day after day after day. You might get a rest day here and there, but you've got to be able to recover and do the same thing over the next day. And if you're not getting those nutrients in, your body's not going to recover properly so that you can continue to work hard and do the exact same thing. If you start to think about eating 8 to 10 different fruits and vegetables a day, I can guarantee you, you're going to have mental clarity that you've never had before, your energy level is going to go up, and you're just going to overall feel better. On top of that, you're probably not going to get sick as much because those are the nutrients that, like I said, help keep us healthy. That's not to say that we can ignore all the other nutrients, the macronutrients, but these are the ones we really want to focus on. And if you get those, the other ones are going to fall into place. How in the world can you get 8 to 10 different fruits and vegetables? Starting in the morning, how could you get 3 or 4 in right away? Yes. You could put maybe triple berries into your oatmeal. You could maybe just have a bowl of fruit, right? So that's a good way to start. What if you were having eggs? What could you put in your eggs? Maybe some veggies, some tricolored veggies, maybe some mushrooms, maybe some spinach chopped up. So you've got to, if you think right now, oh, I can't even stand vegetables, I'm not going to eat vegetables, you haven't given your taste buds enough opportunity to even know if you like them, because you're too young. So you have to just keep exposing yourself to them. So when your parents are trying to force them on you, give them another try. Don't give your parents a hard time. They're trying to incorporate this into your system, and they're really important. A smoothie is another great way. So smoothies can be really crummy if you go to Jamba Juice or you go to Tropical Smoothie or some of the other places. If you go to those places, I'm cautioning you. Most of them are well over 1,000 calories, and most of them are just pure sugar, and not the good kind of sugar from fruit. They're sugar from syrups and everything else. So be careful when you go to those places. But if you make your own smoothie, you can use milk, which has protein. You can throw spinach in there because it doesn't change the taste. It only changes the color. I know, I see your face. You won't even know it's in there other than the color. You can throw frozen berries in there, maybe 3 or 4 different kinds. You can throw whatever other fruit you like in there, but that's a good way to get a lot of nutrition on board really quick. You could use a scoop of protein powder or use yogurt to get a little more protein. But sometimes when you're heading out the door, that's a quick and easy breakfast, and it's a good way to get a lot of different variety of those fruits and vegetables in one shot. If you have a salad, that's another great way to incorporate a lot of different things. Don't just have iceberg lettuce and cheese. Maybe have a blend of different lettuce. Maybe have some peppers on there, a couple different vegetables, whatever it might be. But add more variety to what you're doing. Try some new vegetables. Try some new fruits. It's really important. So when we think about protein, where do we get protein from? I know you guys know this. Meat. What else?
Protein boxes.
Protein. So protein powders are another one. That's good. Where else can we get them from? Nuts and seeds. Yes. What else? Eggs are a great source of protein. Where else can we get protein? Dairy. So Greek yogurt or yogurt. Cheese. We get protein from cheese. Beans. So black beans, chickpeas, those sorts of things. How much protein do you need a day as an athlete? Those of you that have already been working with your coach, how many grams of protein do you need a day? Go ahead. 7? No, a little bit more than that. A little more. Oh, and even you need a little more than 7. Yes. 20? A little higher than 20. 25. Okay, you guys are all way, way low. Yes. 120? 228 is what you're eating? Okay, so for an athlete, you're looking at a minimum of 1 gram per pound of body weight. Now, if you're overweight or you're trying to lean out, you might need a little less than that depending on your size. So that's just kind of a general rule that I use when you're trying to think about how many grams of protein. Is that far off from what you're doing already?
No, it's exactly what I'm doing. So right now, you guys that have received something from me, you're between 1 pound to 1.25 pounds.
Yes. Good. So protein is especially important for those of you that are looking to lean out. The cool thing about protein is that it's filling. So when you eat protein foods, you feel full. It's similar to eating foods that have fat in them. Not all foods that have fat in them are horrible. There's good fats out there. Does anyone know where we get good fats from? Yes.
Steak.
Steak, well, lean steak, yes. Where else? Nuts, yeah, so nuts and seeds. Where else? Avocados are a great source. Olive oil, so some of the oils that we use are another good source. The not so great fats are the hydrogenated fats and the saturated fats. Those are the fats that you find in fast food, fried food. You find them in baked goods. Like if we could eliminate baked goods from our lives, that would be wonderful. Because baked goods have baked goods have probably the worst oil in them, a hydrogenated oil. So that's one of the worst oils you can have. So more natural forms, which we'll talk about, of fat than those unnatural forms of fat. But you need to, what's that? You need to have protein to build muscle. But we don't need excessive protein because if you overeat in any category, what happens to that food if it's not burned as fuel? Yes. It turns to fat, you gain weight. So even good food, too much of a good thing, can be bad when you're trying to lean out. But you want to make sure you're getting adequate protein to build muscle and to fuel your muscles. So think about that number and then put it in perspective with a 3-ounce chicken breast. How many grams of protein are in a 3-ounce chicken breast? Which is the size of the palm of my hand. Take a guess. Go ahead.
24.
About 20 to 24, depending on the size of the chicken breast. Yes. So if you need 100 grams of protein, you've got to eat at least 4 chicken breasts a day, or it's pretty much the same per ounce of any meat. So you need at least 4 or 5 ounces of meat every time that you eat in order to achieve that. So I'm sure what your coach is working on you with is A, not skipping meals, and B, fueling throughout the day. You can't just come home at night, eat 2,000 calories and call it good, because you'll sleep like garbage and you won't have that energy throughout the day. So you start out in the morning, even when you're not hungry, you've got to have something to eat, and you want to think about, where am I getting my protein? A couple hours later while you're at school, maybe you have a snack. Where am I getting my protein from? Because in order to achieve that number, it's got to be on your mind the same way fluid and hydration is on your mind. All right, so if a Greek yogurt is your snack, some Greek yogurt has 24 grams of protein in it. So that's a great snack. Some of it has 12 to 15. You throw something else in there with it, and now you're getting a solid snack. What we don't want to do is just snack on, like I said, baked goods all day, foods that don't fill us up, and those are simple sugars. So carbohydrate-wise, how much of your day should be carbohydrates?
3%.
How much, 30%?
I said 3%.
3%? No, we're looking at more or less around 40 to 45% of your plate is going to be filled with carbohydrates. But we want complex carbohydrates. And those come from what? Where do we get complex carbohydrates? Pasta, yes. Whole wheat pasta or bean pasta, yes. Food, we do get carbohydrates from food, but specific foods. Where else?
Bread.
What about oatmeal? Oatmeal's another complex carb. Whole wheat bread. Beans and legumes, potatoes, sweet potatoes. So we want to think about whole grains, not white flours and not sweets and treats. Those are not the carbs that we want. They don't fill us up and they're just basically empty calories. So what we're getting at here is every time you eat, you want high quality food going into yourself. You want to fuel yourself with premium fuel so that you can perform at a higher level than everyone else who's maybe not fueling themselves the same way. All right, so about 30% of your calories are going to come from protein foods, about 40 to 45 are going to come from carbs, and the rest is going to come from healthy fats. So that's how your plate's going to be set up. Depending on how active you are in the day, so if you have an off day where you're not training, do you need a lot of carbs? No, because you're not using them for energy. So you still want to have some, because you definitely don't want to eliminate them, because they also fuel your brain, but you don't need as many. So on those days, you're going to go maybe a little heavier in protein, maybe a lot higher in the vegetable department, still having some fruit, but you don't want to go overdo it in the carb department. Any questions on fruits and vegetables? Eating more of them. Any questions on anything so far? No? Yes? In an egg, there's about 7 grams of protein. And the other thing with eggs, since most of us have gone through the phase of don't eat the yolk because it's terrible for you, we've come full circle on that. So now we're eating the yolks again because they've done all these studies and found that the yolk does not contribute to high cholesterol. So it does not contribute at all. So eat the whole egg because the egg has got a lot of other nutrients that the white doesn't have. Yes?
What about a glass of milk?
Depends how big your glass is, but per cup there's about 8 grams of protein per cup. Right. So if you're a heavy milk drinker and you're trying to lean out, you probably want to cut down on how much milk you're drinking. Some of us have been raised, I know I was raised on drinking a glass of milk with every meal because they're worrying about calcium at the time. So that's still a lot of calories depending on how high or how big your glass is. But milk has a really great place in the day, and that's post-workout. So one of the things that we need to discuss is post-workout recovery, because you spend the first part of your day fueling your body, and then you work out or you train or you have a game, and then we've got to think about recovering our bodies so that we can come back and do the exact same thing the next day. So right after practice, what would be a good thing to have? What nutrients are we looking for at that time? Protein for sure. What else are we looking for? Some carbs, yeah. So we want a really solid, good choice of protein, and we also want a really good choice of a carb. So at that time, chocolate milk is a really good thing to have at that time. So if you like milk, right, maybe save it for that time. And you want that to happen within about 15 minutes to a half hour after your practice, because we want to get these recovery nutrients on board, and then you can have your ride home from wherever you're at, take your shower, and then sit down and have a meal. So even when you get home at 9, 10 o'clock at night, are you still going to eat a meal after you've worked out or trained? Absolutely. We're not going to skip that meal. So if you're going to be going to bed right away, it probably doesn't need to be anything healthy. And quite honestly, one of the best things you can have if you don't want something healthy is an omelet. So make yourself some eggs, maybe a slice of toast along with it, put some veggies in there. But that's something that's easy to make that won't have your parents pulling out everything in the kitchen to make. But you still want to eat, and you want to make it a really healthy meal at that time. So our body is ready to receive a lot of nutrients after we train and deplete. So we want to make sure we get something on board right away. So these little chocolate milks are handy to have with you. These don't even need to be refrigerated. Of course, they taste better when they are. But something like this to carry with you now. It's cold outside, so if you have them in your car, it's okay. These core power shakes are halfway decent too. Has anyone tried these? You have, okay. So if you don't want to make your own, then this is something that you can get these at Myers and at Kroger. There's 26 grams of protein in one of these. So right when you're done, you have one of these to drink, you get home, you shower, and then you sit down and you have a meal. But we don't want you waiting 3-4 hours before you have a meal after you train or after you perform, because we're looking to recover at that time. What's up? The other one, and the reason I brought this is because this is excessive. You don't need the one that has 42 grams of protein in it. The other thing is our body likes to metabolize protein in a slower time period than jamming 42 ounces or 42 grams of protein in at one time. That's just too much. So get the ones that have 26. It takes about 90 minutes for our bodies to metabolize about 30 grams of protein. So if you're eating a ton more than that at one given time, you're probably not getting all the benefits of having that much protein all at one time versus spreading it out throughout the day. The other thing is, like I know your coach is working on you with, we're trying to instill this habit of fueling constantly throughout the day rather than maybe just once or twice, which I think many of you probably do just because you don't eat breakfast, lunch is so early, and then you have dinner when you get home. And that's just not the way to go about fueling yourself properly. All right, so chocolate milk or something like this. The other thing that I always add to my post-workout recovery is cherry juice concentrate. I'm sure, has anyone in here tried it? Any of the parents, anyone? No? So cherry juice concentrate is a really strong anti-inflammatory. In fact, they're using it now with people who have arthritis and people who have like inflammatory type diseases. But at the ballpark and with all the athletes in the professional level, they get this right after they train because it's so powerful for controlling inflammation. For all of the athletes in here, who are adult athletes, whatever it might be, we have to worry about exercise-induced inflammation. When you train and you train hard, you get these tiny micro tears in your muscles, which aren't a bad thing, but we want to repair them quickly because you're breaking down muscle just by nature of using the muscle. The best way to do that is, like I said, get that protein and those carbs on, but also think about some anti-inflammatory foods which come from fruits and vegetables. Berries like strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, blueberries. Those are almost as powerful as cherry juice concentrate, but this is even more powerful. You can get these bottles at Myers. They're 32-ounce bottles, and you just use 2 tablespoons. I just pour it right in with my post-workout recovery smoothie and call it good. The other nice thing about it is it has sugar, and it's not the bad kind of sugar. It comes from the volume of cherries. I think there's about 80 cherries in just one of these little pouches. So there's going to be sugar, but it's the right kind of sugar. So something like this, after you train, you're resupplying those glycogen stores from what you've burned through training. But even for us as adults, this is a great thing to incorporate into your day to help control inflammation. The other type of inflammation that we're trying to avoid is chronic inflammation. So chronic inflammation leads to diseases. So these diabetes, heart disease, cancer, all these different diseases. So as adults, we're trying to control that. So it's a great way to help control some of that inflammation. Now, cherry juice isn't always the best thing to have because this is super tart. And it doesn't taste real sweet because it's from tart cherries. Oftentimes the juice that you buy is similar to cranberry juice because if you drink straight cranberry juice, it's pretty hard to handle. And they often cut it with other juices. So you'll find apple juice in there, pineapple juice, different kinds of juices to sweeten it. And that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the straight, really concentrated form of it. But you can, these are just individual packets that I get from this particular orchard. You can just pour it right in with this, shake it up, and good to go. The other thing that I like to recommend is making your own smoothie, your own post-workout recovery. This is something you could probably do during the summer or during a day off. Right now it's cold outside, so you could do it and just keep it in your car or in a cooler. But I use a protein powder. So some protein powders are better than others. Does anyone in here already use a protein powder? Some of you do. Okay, I want you to make sure you run that protein powder by your coach because there's some that are not so great and there's some that are good. Are these all ones that you, is everybody using one that you told them to use, or?
No, I'm actually at this point I'm just
Doing all food?
as long as it's a whey that came from like a GNC or something of that nature.
Okay, so.
I've not any specifics as far as that's concerned.
Okay, I won't give too many specifics either because it's not super important, but it's going to become more important as you guys progress as athletes. You want to look for a whey protein isolate because the isolate is the most absorbable. So when it says it has 25 grams of protein in it, as an isolate, you're going to get 25 grams of protein. Oftentimes what we do if we go to Walmart or Kroger and we buy the cheapest protein that's there, it's a concentrate. So they've cut it and they've added in all these other fillers. So even though it says you're getting 25 grams of protein, your body's not going to metabolize and utilize that 25 grams of protein. So make sure it's a whey protein isolate. The other thing that I always recommend is that you get an NSF certified one. So as a professional athlete or a college athlete, you can't take any supplements that aren't NSF approved. So that means it's third-party tested. Supplements are not regulated the same way our food is. So on a food label, they have to tell you everything that's in that product. When you buy a supplement, they don't have to tell you. So there could be stuff in there that we're not even sure exactly what it is. Or they can put proprietary blend because they don't want to tell you their secret ingredients. That's not good for us. We want to know exactly what we're putting into our body because we're trying to be the best that we can be. So if it has this NSF label, which is just this little blue circle that says NSF on it, then you're good to go. Everything that it's listed on there is truly in the product. This is a plant-based protein. This is the one that I use. I don't digest whey protein real well. Sometimes it upsets people's guts. Sometimes it could be the protein. If we're using a cheap protein, honestly, it could be whatever's in the protein with it. So if you have one that's not agreeing with your guts, talk to your coach and maybe he can help you find one that's going to be a little bit better. But definitely look for that NSF certification on it too. And if you're at GNC, there's very few that are there. Well, I shouldn't say that. There probably are some, but ask specifically for the ones that are NSF certified. So for me, a plant-based protein works better. There's soy proteins out there. There's egg white protein. So you know if you can digest eggs and eggs are fine with you, then an egg white protein might be the way to go. You don't have to use a protein powder either. You definitely don't need it. But if you're having a hard time getting to that number of protein grams that you need for the day, this is a quick and easy way to do it if you throw it in a smoothie. Yes?
How about hemp protein?
Hemp protein's completely fine too. For you, what I've just learned is in the Major League Baseball, they can't have anything that's got hemp in it because they're so drug tested in that sport that they can't have it. Now, there's not anything about hemp protein or hemp seeds that you put on there that make you test. I'm just saying because sometimes, you know, who knows? You can end up in the NFL. And at that point, you want to make sure you're not using hemp protein. But that's a complete protein, and that's another great one to use. So whatever protein you have, just make sure it's NSF certified, and if it's a whey, make sure it's an isolate. And like I said, for a smoothie, you can throw this in there with some milk, put your frozen fruit in there, put some chia. Has anyone tried chia seeds? Nobody, one person. All right, how about with the parents? Did anyone try chia seeds? Yes, okay, so chia seeds are really high in protein, they're really high in fiber, and they're really high in omega-3 fatty acids that we have to get through food. They don't have any flavor, they kind of swell up a little bit and make your smoothie a little bit more thick, but you wouldn't even know they're in there if you put them in your smoothie. Just another way to get more protein and fiber and some of those healthy fats. You can put some of that in there. If you're trying to put weight on, you can put peanut butter in your smoothie to add more calories. Whatever it might be, it's a nice way to get a lot of nutrients in real quick, and it works really well as a post-workout recovery. So what I do is I make this smoothie, I put the cherry juice in there, I put the berries in there, all the stuff that I want in, and then I use it as my post-workout recovery. I bring it with me to the gym or to wherever it is I'm training, I just leave it in the car, and I've got it right after, so I don't have to worry about relying on chocolate milk, and I'm getting a little bit more nutrition through all the other things that I'm putting in there. So the whole idea here is to eat minimally processed foods, more things that are made from scratch, less things that we have to buy at a restaurant or in a store that have a ton of ingredients. What about protein bars? Does anyone in here use protein bars? What's some of your favorites? Go ahead. Gatorade bars, yes, they taste just like a candy bar, yes. Quest bars, what else? Yes. Kind bars. Man after my own heart, Kind bars, yes. Cliff bars, any other ones? Cliff, which ones? Zone bars, okay. So, go ahead.
I just have a question about
Yeah.
this thing called Epic bars.
Epic bars, yes. What was your
I
question
just
about?
didn't know if they were actually they help you out.
If they're good? Okay, we're gonna talk about them. Okay, so some protein bars are better than others. If they look like a candy bar and they taste like a candy bar, they probably are a candy bar. So a lot of them have a ton of sugar in them and not much protein and have a ton of other ingredients in them that we don't need. So quite honestly, Gatorade bars are not my favorite, but I get that they're tasty, they have some protein in them, and they're better than not eating. So if that's something you're using as a snack at school, that's okay, yes. They have some sugar in them for sure, but you're gonna burn through it if you're using it before you train. And if they sit in your stomach okay, then that's okay. Some of my favorites are these Epic bars are one. So what I'm looking for in a bar is that they have at least 12 to 15 grams of protein in them, and that they have minimal ingredients. And by that, I mean like 5 or 6 ingredients. If you look at a label of a product and it's got 25 things in it, and you don't recognize what they are, it's probably not the best thing to use for fuel for your body. So the Epic bars have an egg white protein in them. The nice thing about these is they don't melt. You can carry them with you. They have a little bit of a taffy consistency. So if you have braces, they might not work real well, but they do sit well in your stomach, and they're not real heavy. These RX bars are another one. They're very similar to the Epic bars. Anyone tried these? So 5 ingredients, minimal ingredients is what we're looking for. When we put things into our body that we recognize and can metabolize and utilize, we get a good outcome. When we put things like ramen noodles into our body that have 50 ingredients, tons of salt, not the good kind of salt either because it's way excessive in the salt department, they stay in our body for about 18 hours, and not in the way that, oh, I feel so full because I ate ramen noodles. It's because of all the preservatives that are in there. So we don't want to fuel our body on things that aren't going to metabolize and be utilized in the way that we want them to. These Go Macro bars are another good one. Trail Nuggets are another good one. You can get these at Trader Joe's. But the whole idea with any of these bars that I'm pointing out is there's about 5 or 6 ingredients maximum in them. And they all have about 12 to 15 grams of protein. The other one that I like are the Kind protein bars. These are another good one. Kind bars are good too, but they don't have much protein in them. So now they have one that they've added some protein to. We talked about the Gatorade bars. And then Cliff protein bars are another decent one. So this is something you carry with you when you go to school, so that you've got a snack. Keep it in your bag. Maybe half hour, 45 minutes before practice, you have something like this. All right, so the most important meals that we have during the day are our breakfast, because we're starting our fuel out at that time. Our lunch, because about 2 to 3 hours before our practice is the meal that our body is going to use to help fuel our practice. And then if you need something more, maybe 45 minutes before practice you have something. If you need something quick during practice, because your practice is maybe longer than an hour, then you talk about things like these chewies, like these Gatorade chews or these Cliff chews. Something like this is just something you have to give you a little bit of instant energy. You don't plow through 3 or 4 of these and try and get full off of them. They're just something to add a little boost to your training that you're doing. The other things that I like that are portable are these peanut butter packets. Has anyone tried these? These are great for your lunch, or they're great for a snack. You can eat them straight out of the packet if you want. But RX now has them where they're almost like a protein bar, but they're just a peanut butter that has protein added to them. You can have this with a banana or with an apple, maybe on a half a bagel or a half a slice of bread or some toast. But these are portable and nice to carry with you. How are we doing on time, Coach? I don't want to talk too long. Any questions on anything? No, Coach, any questions from you? Am I covering what you?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
I have one.
Yeah.
Because we seem to have a problem when we
Yeah.
get into the warm weather. Cramping.
Cramping.
Yeah. Is cherry juice concentrate going to help with cramping as well?
Not necessarily. That's more electrolyte related and prehydration related. So that all goes into the first thing in the morning. You train in the mornings mostly during the.
It's off and on, depending on
Okay.
what month we're.
So you really want to stay on top of, especially when it's hot out and you're wearing the gear that you're wearing, or even if you're not wearing the gear, when you're sweating like that, first thing in the morning, you've got to start your hydration out. Cramping is typically because we are underhydrated before we get there, and then, like I said, there's just no catching up. So what I would probably do during that time is I'd use the noon tabs, or I would use a cut Gatorade, and I'd start drinking that during the day or during the morning, and then just keep drinking it until you arrive at practice. The other thing is, if you're eating 8 to 10 fruits and vegetables, I guarantee you're getting magnesium, and you're getting potassium, and you're getting the sodium that you need to stay on top of those cramps as well. And then the other thing that goes really well along with that cramping is rest. So if you're not getting adequate rest the night before, you can run into cramping issues as well. But most of the cramping that I see with the guys at the ballpark is 100% related to either sleep or not using prehydration. When they arrive at the field, which is something that you guys want to think about when it's hot, 2 hours, 3 hours before, we're giving them hydration products, meaning salt products, essentially. So they're using the Noon Tabs or an NSF certified brand of the Noon Tabs. They're using another product called the Right Stuff, and it's basically a salt solution. Some of them just like Gatorade, some of them use Pedialyte. Whatever their preference is, 2-3 hours before they ever go outside into the heat, they're drinking at least 60 ounces of that. to get it on board before they head out there. And this season, we only had one incident with someone with cramping, and it was the catcher. Understandably so, when it's 100 degrees, they have all that gear on, and that's the most active spot on the field. So for him, we were able to stay on top of it, but it's really important you get on it first thing in the morning. Don't wait till an hour before practice and try and get enough on, because there's no way you'll be able to do that. The other thing to measure your hydration, obviously, is looking at your pee. So if you look at your pee and it's the color of his shirt, we have a problem, right? We want your pee to be really light yellow color. So before you get to practice, go pee and see what color your pee is, because that's a huge indicator, probably the best indicator, better than any of the stuff you wear to try and tell you how hydrated you are. It's just looking in the toilet at what color your pee is. The only exception to that is if you take a multiple vitamin about a half hour before you pee, because that's going to change the concentration of your pee or the color of your pee. But stay on top of that too. All right, any questions for me on anything? No? So most important thing is your meal 2 hours before you work out or train. Then post-workout is really important for recovery, right? And then spreading your meals out throughout the day, choosing really high quality foods and staying on top of your fruits and vegetables and your hydration. Yes?
What's the difference between creatine and pre-workout?
So, are they taking any
They're not
supplements?
taking any supplements.
Yeah, we don't promote.
Okay, I just want to make sure before I spoke on it. So quite honestly, I don't think anybody in here needs to take a supplement. I think if you eat properly, you're going to get everything you need through there. Now, understandably so, some people take creatine to put mass on. If you're trying to lean out, I don't think creatine is something that you need right now, especially. The other thing with creatine is that if you're not hydrating properly, you can run into kidney and liver issues with it. So if you're using it, use it cautiously and talk with your coach about using it.
If you're using it, stop. How about that?
Okay, that's better. Yeah, honestly, you guys don't need the supplements. Pre-workout is really popular, I know, because you get this like rush for your workout. And when we are lacking in energy, it's because we didn't get enough sleep, we're not hydrated, and we're not fueling properly. So examine those three categories first before you turn to something that's got beta-alanine in it. And beta-alanine is ultimately what we're looking for in a pre-workout along with caffeine. And at your age, you don't need either one of those on board, because it can cause other issues, especially sleep disturbances, which is the last thing that you need, because you're already running a tight schedule with getting enough sleep.
So if you're using a pre-workout, stop. Using a creatine, stop.
Simple enough.
That's simple.
Protein powder would be the one thing that I say can help some of you if you're looking to put some mass on, as long as it's a high quality protein. All right, I think that you were going to continue.
Yeah, what I was going to do is try to bring it around really quickly. So I have,
Oh, sure.
so everything that she's covered, right? All the essential nutrients and some of the hydration. I can tell you now from the guys that I worked with, what we did is I had them log into MyFitnessPal. And I had them logging their food for about 2 weeks. And I found out you guys eat like crap. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm just going to let you guys know how it is. So what I did is I tried to take what you guys currently are eating and make a meal plan based on a goal. I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I think this might be Jack, because there's a lot of milk in this. I could be wrong on this, but anyway, nonetheless. So I tried to take what you guys like to have. I like to eat milk, I like to have milk, so on and so forth. So this is kind of a breakdown, exactly what you were saying, more meals broken down based on what we have. Now, right in the morning, we have some fruit. Here's our protein with eggs. We had whole eggs. We have some milk. Then a midday snack. I had these guys walking around in the hallway doing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and some more milk.
Perfect.
Then at lunch, we have some sort of protein. We have our 5 ounces of chicken, some jasmine rice, some sort of greens, and then there's my milk again, which I believe this is you, Jack, because you're the milk king over here. And then from there, right, I believe after that, we were going into a pre-workout. If you scroll all the way down, actually, no. Okay, so I'm missing a pre-workout meal in here. Anyway, which these guys hate, and I actually have it in my bag, but it's just oatmeal with some protein powder, and they all hate it. But it's a slow digesting carbohydrate. You get some protein, and we're ready to go to work. Then afterwards, again, we're getting into our fruits and vegetables that we're talking about, a fast digesting carbohydrate to get that nutrients back in that we just got out from our workouts, and some more protein. That one's hot, but. And then once you get home, now we're talking about our dinner. So a slower digesting protein in like a beef or something like that are good fats. I don't know why, but everybody's scared of fats, and you really it shouldn't be. If you eat the right fats, this is what she was talking about earlier, your avocados, your olive oil, your nuts, that's going to help you. It's going to help you get to where you want to go. If you scroll all the way down, if you can click on this, where'd it go? Scroll down more? Maybe not. Hey guys, where's the chart?
Should be on the bottom.
It should be at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
Maybe beautiful.
Maybe complete this entry. Let's see what happens there. Uh-oh. Let's try that. Let's click there. Anyway, there is a chart, and this is really what I wanted to get after. I don't know where it went.
Oh, the macro?
Yeah, the macros. Where's that at?
It should be at the bottom.
I thought it was at the bottom as well.
Maybe if you go up, go up.
Okay, well, anyway, there's a chart in here, and the idea is exactly what she was saying, right? We want 30 to 40% in our proteins, right? So like a gram per pound, give or take. And then our carbohydrates, which was 30, 40%. Some of you guys have more carbohydrates. The guys that are like really skinny and your metabolism's just firing like crazy and I'm having a hard time getting weight on you guys, I increased your carbohydrates. So then, right? So then we have, then the rest are fats, which is our good fats. Maybe go to another day. Just pick a different, go backwards though.
So essentially what he is saying along with what I said is you guys, eating for you guys is like medicine for other people. Even if it's something like his oatmeal with protein powder may not sound like a real great thing, but he's eating because he needs those nutrients. So that's kind of the basis behind what you guys need to do. Even when you're not hungry, if you're trying to put weight on, you're not going to put it on unless you eat and eat a lot of calories throughout the day. But what he's working with you with, which is great, is that you're getting your calories from good sources rather than just going and eating a ton of calories at fast food places that ultimately just gather in our guts rather than distribute through our body the way you guys are trying to do it.
Can you go over the importance of like peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
Like the
What are the benefits?
What's the benefits of peanut butter and jelly?
beyond it. Yeah. So a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is a great snack because you're getting some protein, you're getting some healthy fats, and you're getting some complex carbs along with it in terms of the bread if you're using a whole grain bread. The other thing that's great about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches is that they're portable. So they don't require you to refrigerate them, and you can carry them with you when you go. They're also great for breakfast. If you don't have time for breakfast, eat a peanut butter and jelly or eat toasted peanut butter and fruit along with it. So peanut butter and jelly is a great way to get some good calories in throughout the day when you don't have time to sit down and have a full meal.
So the things that I brought that I live by, and the guys that have been working with me already know. She said you have to plan. You can't leave your house without a plan to eat. You don't walk in a gym without a plan to work out. Or you end up standing around playing or on social media on your phone. I see the people in the gym, I see them. You have to plan. So you get meal containers. I think you get like, I don't know, there's like 50 of these for like $10 on Amazon. Easy. My guy's favorite. I have mine right now because I'm going to work out after this. Oatmeal and protein. Something easy. You guys, I hear something like, Teddy, I'm too lazy to eat breakfast. I gotta sleep those extra 5 minutes. They sell things, liquid egg whites, that are flavored. This one happens to be flavored like Fruity Pebbles. Hey, listen, here's my point. My point is if you're committed, there's a way of getting it done. Peanut butter and jelly are portable. Some people are allergic to peanut butter. What'd I say?
That was turkey sandwich.
Turkey sandwich. We got to get our protein in, we still get our carbs, we still get whatever we need. If you're committed, what I'm telling you is there is a way. You don't like Fruity Pebbles? I got cake batter too. Where there's a will, there is a way. You want to be better than 1 in 8. It starts here. This is what I'm trying to tell you. I got cups, but I'll let you try it too. It's actually pretty good. First of all, you're saying like bacon flavor. All right.
All right, fellas. Number one, I want to thank Mo for coming out and sharing your expertise with us, so thank you. Coach is right. In terms of where you want to be, it's all planning that goes into it. If you want to take the easy way out and coulda, shoulda, woulda come August, and then when September starts, well, I should be a starter, but I didn't do this, or I wish I would have done that, that ultimately is on you. As a coach, we don't come to practice without a practice plan. Everything's organized. When we meet during the season on the weekends, and we go through and say, we're going to run these 5 plays or do these 3 things because of this or because of that, we're planning each and every minute of a practice. When we sit down and talk about the workouts, we plan each and every minute of the workout, or the running, or the conditioning, okay, whatever it's going to be. If we just go and, like Coach said, if we just showed up and say, all right, yeah, let's guys run the benches today and just mess around for half an hour, and then we go over here, we're not going to get to where we want to be. Okay? Ultimately, everything you do, like we've talked about multiple times, you make a choice. Every decision you make. You made a phenomenal choice by being here tonight. Okay, some of your teammates couldn't make it. They missed out on listening and learning. Okay? When you come to the classroom each and every day, you're making a choice to do your homework, to pay attention, sit in the front, whatever it may be. Okay? Every choice has a consequence. You want to have more positive consequences than negatives. Okay? Coming in and working out on a regular basis in the off season. Not only are you preparing your body for the competition, but the rigors of which you're going to be asked to do in August, September, and October, and hopefully into November. Okay, you're strengthening your body to be ready for that. Okay, this is the other aspect of it, is your nutrition, your rest, your planning for that. Because some of you guys could take the step from here to here and going from good to great, like we've talked about, by upping your nutrition and understanding how important that is. Okay? Like up your performance in the weight room, in running, in your conditioning is all going to be based off of that nutrition and your rest. The rest being the key thing, because we all know, as a parent, you guys don't sleep very well because you're too busy playing Xbox and stuff till 1 or 2 in the morning, because I hear you guys yelling on TV and on your headsets all the time. Okay? Then those extra 2 hours of sleep might go a long way in terms of what you can do when it comes to your testing next week in the weight room. Okay? Get your rest. Allow your body to grow, because that's when your body's going to do most of its healing and growing. You can eat well, you can work out hard, but if you don't get the rest, you're not going to get the full benefit of what you're doing. Am I correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay? So those are things, that and your hydration. All important aspects. If you've learned anything today, it should be that you should be getting some rest, more rest than what you're getting, and drinking more water and being hydrated. Okay? Those 2 things will carry you further in what we want to do competitively. Okay? Coach, you got anything else?
I do have something else. Ben Schlack. See me after, I know you're in here.
Anybody who doesn't have the next one.
Jack Lustig, I saw you walk in. Patterson, I seen you. Mr. Poster, I need to see you as well. These are all people that aren't logged in to Max 1. It starts on Monday. Parents, if you don't know what this is, we're going to get this for you as well. It will be all communication. What your kid is lifting, what lifts he's doing, what he's being asked to do. So when you send them here to us, it's like not some crazy, I don't know what they're doing. You'll be able to log in, see what they're doing, see if they're actually doing it. So when it comes September, October, your kid's sitting on the bench, we can say, well, you didn't show up to any workouts. So I don't know what the base, I don't know what to base his performance off of, but he's not performing as well as X, Y, and Z. This may be start Y. This is a starter, it was a Y. He's just not, he didn't show up, he didn't do the workouts, he didn't do what he was asked to do, so somebody else beat him out. So parents are gonna be just as involved as the players and coaches. Everybody's gonna be on board. So if you don't know, if you are signed into Max One, what we're going to do here is we're gonna put in a QR code. There's one for parents, there's also one for players. You can scan it right off of here onto your phone. It's called Max One. So you can go to your iTunes store or go to your Google Play Store, type in all one word, Max, O-N-E, download the app, and then look for the QR code. I almost spelled that wrong, didn't I? If you're not sure, Keegan, is he still here? Yep, you're on that list, bub.
So if you have the app on your phone right now, your device, you can bring up the scan, and right now, if you just point at the screen, it'll sign you up. Okay,
This is the players,
athletes,
correct?
yeah, for the athletes.
These are players.
Parents one will get set up shortly.